To start this session 225, I did want to just interject here on the textbook a little bit. You'll notice I tried to stay out of it last session because I just wanted everybody to start getting the hang of just being a photographer, right? So to get the hang of seeing yourself as an image taker, to get the idea behind the different, portions of the camera. What does it mean to have a lens? Where is the lens in relation to your subject? How can we play with light and exposure? Things of that nature. Here in session 2 with chapters 4, 5, and I believe 6, we're going to start to look at managing the workspace, and we're going to use Adobe Bridge to do that, and we're going to look at starting your image editing journey. And with that, I want us to take a pause here, and it's actually one of the reasons I really like the DCP textbook here, is because the authors, are doing what they can to be platform agnostic. They, again, the authors here, and you can see the textbook behind me. This is page 95 through like 97 or so. And you can see here, right across from me, you can see we've got an image from a piece of software. It's a grayscale image, which kind of lets me know this is an old one, but that's okay. Here in the textbook, they use a mixture of Photoshop and Photoshop elements. Photoshop is far and away the industry yardstick by which image editing software is measured. It is a titan in the industry, and it is ultra adept and capable, and it is, in some cases, a little, frankly, intimidating to learn. The image we see here, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but the image of the software that we see here is Photoshop Elements, a home and consumer grade version of the same tool that does some of the work for you. Now, Photoshop is largely, unassailable. It will always be the industry standard. But more and more, what we are seeing is other entrants into the photo and here we'll say the image management and the image manipulation spheres. We are seeing other tools, Affinity, come up because things like the iPad are really popular. We are seeing tools that you can purchase one time and not have to rent essentially every month become more and more popular. I personally hate signing a check essentially and giving it to Adobe every year for not a ton of utility that comes my way. I don't feel. So there are other software options out there. The one that we will use is going to be a balance between managing our workflow, managing the in our case, the volume of images that we are taking, and doing some basic image editing. So right in the middle is what is called Lightroom and Lightroom Classic. That is the one that we will use because here in session 2, I can get everybody to hook up with a 14-day free trial and not have to worry about paying for things. But I will also show you some free and other cost alternative solutions that we can use. Back to the idea here of editing. The textbook, like I've said before, does a really fantastic job of taking you through the process of image editing without coupling it to the idea of a specific piece of software that you have to use. So even though here on page 95, we can see this image of, I think it was Rome or Italy, this image of Rome or Italy, and here immediately underneath it, right over that way, is the curve that we can see, the light curve for this image as it was imported into the software. And as we keep going, We can see what happens if we lighten the tones. We can see here what happens when we move the curve down to darken it. Now we get this image here. The image right next to me, this image in the middle, this image, the topmost of the three, are the same image as the input. The output is what happens to be different. And each time we change that image using things like color, when we are looking at exposure, when we are looking at brightness, when we are looking at sharpness, all of that is here in the chapter. What we're able to do is take that input and create a different output for them. So here, I tend to like the darker photos. Every time I get a photo from like my mother-in-law, she's like, here, I'll fix it for you. She just takes that brightness slider and goes all the way over. It's not for me. I'm like, that there are shadows and they're okay too. Here, now that we have darkened the image, you can see like the bricks on the building help kind of accentuate in the lower right-hand corner the shadow that's being cast over the building. The sun is up on the right-hand side there. With the darkness pulled down a little bit, you'll see that some of our shadow tones now have the opportunity to come up. So it is highlighting the play of the shadow in between the trees in that middle section of the road going up. With the darker image, now I can see more of the detail in the car on the road in the middle there. And that is producing an entirely different version of the same image that we saw before. So, in this chapter, which is chapter 5 for editing, what I want you to start to do is absolving yourself of the notion that the image that our end user sees is the one that comes out of our camera. That's not necessarily true. That's the starting point for the image that our client, our customer, our viewer will see. What we'll do after that is, number one, manage it. So if we take 50 or 100 images, we will select a few that are really good. And then what we'll do is we'll start to edit, and bring that image closer to the message that we want to convey to our users. So as we're going through here in chapter 5, the important things are to think of the tools that the author is talking about. So move the curve to lighten the tones. You can see the curve here behind me, and you can be like, yeah, I see a curve there. It's in a box. I see a curve. Okay. Honestly, that's good, because when we get to the next piece, which is the Lightroom tutorial stuff, you'll be like, oh, curve. Now I can see how we can apply that. Oh, here's exposure. That's how we can apply that. Oh, here's the tint. This is what we can do. Here's the white balance. This is what we can change. So here, I think the tremendous advantage to you, the reader, is with no hook to an actual piece of software, you are free to learn what the curves do. You are free to learn what your eye is capable of doing. You're free to learn what the image is capable of providing for you. And then we'll worry about managing it when we're done.